but we will still do the skills. So class flow doesn't change. It's not compete athletes over there, sweat athletes meet me over here, train athletes, you're going to go back air in the back. And back air, you hear that? You can take the boy out of Claxton, but you can't take the Claxton out of the boy. I think to pick up where you were leaving off is no matter how specific someone's goal is, we believe they largely fall into one of three buckets. Either bucket number one is their goal when they come into the gym is just to sweat. They want to get an aerobic workout in. They want to breathe hard. They want to kill a workout, bump the tunes, fist bump their friends. Just come and have a good 60 minutes and work out for the sake of working out, which is awesome. I believe that is one bucket, if you will, of people that are coming into the gym. I believe a second bucket is the sport of CrossFit. When they come in, they want to improve their scores, better their times, increase the loadings of their weights, strive to be better in the open and better in quarterfinals, go do local competitions and throw down and get on the podium. So I believe that is another section of people. And then I believe that a third group is a group of people that already have their thing outside of the gym. They're a high school football player. They are a collegiate volleyball player. They are law enforcement. They have this thing that requires them to be physical in some capacity. And then they come to the gym to supplement their strength and conditioning to go be better at those things. So these three different categories have people coming in with three different objectives in mind when they're in the midst of their class. What we're looking to do is give you an individualized experience and give you a program that tailors to you what it is that you want. That's what the objective is.
Are there some other general things on why go from this really, I guess, singular program into multiple programs?
So what we've been doing in the past is you come into the gym, and when we sit down and meet with you for the first time, we ask you, what are your goals? How can we help you? What is it that you really want to get out of this fitness regimen? And regardless of your answer, we're like, hey, here's your program. And it doesn't matter if you said you wanted to lose 30 pounds or if you wanted to be a better marathon runner or you really think this is your year to qualify for semifinals. We're like, hey, well, here's your class. Here's your program. And we believe that if we have a more dialed-in approach to getting you to reach your goals in every class you take, we feel far more confident of telling you, hey, we can help you get there. And we had played with giving an RX version of the workout, and this is what CrossFit has done for 20 years, call it. I've never said call it like that before. Once in my life. But for the last 20 years, we'll call it, CrossFit has said, hey, here's your workout. Here's an intermediate version of it. Here's a beginner version of it, which makes the beginners feel pretty good. Cool. I know how to scale. I know how to modify. I have a template. It makes the intermediate athletes, if I can do a lot of this stuff, I can't really walk on my hands, but I can do a modified version slightly. And it gave them a peace of mind, which is awesome in regards to abilities. You scale the movements based on your abilities. That's what we've always been told in CrossFit, and that is the truth. But a much more dialed-in approach is let's create a regimen for you based on your goals. And then once we give you a program for your goals, then we will scale it based on ability. But first, let's make sure that your movements, your workouts, your skill sets are appropriate for what you're in here for in the first place. That's the why behind it. Let's get you to go where you want to go, and let's avoid the stuff you don't need.
I would love to look at each one of these tracks, maybe just a little bit more
as
we go along. And we'll just start with the sweat programming track. Can we deep dive into that just a little bit?
Let's talk sweat track. The sweat track is the program in which you come in and your objective is this aerobic workout, get sweaty, have a good time. Your focus is not on high skills. Your focus is not on the heaviest loadings possible. Your focus is just to come in and get a killer workout. The complex movements like handstand walking, ring muscle-ups, squat snatches aren't something that you would practice. for a variety of reasons. But the biggest reasons would be because the neurological skills, which make you focus so much on that technique, is phenomenal for other people that I would imagine we're about to talk about. But if your goal is just to come in and get sweaty and get a killer workout, let's spend less time focusing on walking on your hands. Let's spend less time focusing on getting bar muscle ups, and let's spend a little more time just losing our minds with a lightweight dumbbell, a lightweight kettlebell. Think like a boot camp class where you go in, you sweat, but you get to stay under the same roof and have that shared suffering, if you will, with everyone in your class. So it's not like you're off in the corner doing like just the class for the beginners. It's not about your ability. It's about what your goals are. You could be very fit. You could be very strong. You could be shredded with the six-pack abs, but you're just not that interested in learning how to do routines on the high ring. You're not that interested in doing strict pull-ups until your biceps look like Kel Jackson's. Maybe you just want to come in and just lose your mind for 60 minutes, and the sweat track would be for you. Yeah, go ahead.
No, just a couple questions. So I'm curious about that because you mentioned some different, levels of like health and maybe fitness of members that would fit into that track. What would be some goals that I would have that would like maybe I would lean more towards the sweat track?
Let's start with I'm gonna call it a biometric profile. If you came into the gym because you did a doctor's visit and your doctor tells you, he or she looks at you and says, hey, we gotta shed about 30 pounds or else ... Or if this doesn't get under control, then your blood pressure medicine is gonna have to... If you're in here for health reasons, whether it's advised by a doctor or not, you just had an epiphany on the couch one day of like, I gotta change. The sweat track would be for you. Because the loadings are lighter, that doesn't mean at all. That does not imply that you are a lesser. That means your goal is to move more consistently. Another example of someone, other than just health reasons, is physique. You want to come in and you want your heart rate moving because you're in here to burn some calories. You want to be able to pick up the kettlebell and start swinging that thing knowing you're probably going unbroken, kind of keep your heart rate going, get some grip strength in there, and your focus is not a big, heavy kettlebell. Maybe case in point is, let's take the workout Helen, a 400-meter run, 21 kettlebell swings, the green for the men, the yellow for the women, which is 53 pounds and 35 pounds, and then 12 pull-ups. If you're a sweat athlete and you come into the gym that day, your workout is still the run, and your workout are still those 12 kipping pull-ups. But your kettlebell is prescribed to be yellow for the men, blue for the women, 35 pounds and 26 pounds. It's a little lighter on purpose. That's to keep you moving. That's to keep you burning calories. That's to keep your aerobics side of your fitness just booming. That's the goal for those athletes. You want to look good naked. You want to get a killer workout in. You want to improve your biometric profile. These are the workouts for you.
Oh, it sounds like a great track.
Yeah, I think it will be. I've done this before. I've coached other athletes before, and you've done it before too. We've been doing it this whole time. This is just our first time to formalize all of this stuff. I don't even know if formalize is a word, but this is our first time to formally give this program, hey, if this, then this. If these are your goals, then this is what you're doing. But we've kind of been doing this one-on-one with a lot of members already, but now we have these nice little tracks, and you fall in one of the three.
That's very cool. Another track is the Compete programming track.
Compete athletes, since the beginning of time, this is the CrossFit we've always known. Improve your Helen time, go get a faster Fran time, get a heavier winner at max deadlift. Now, all of those are examples of increasing your fitness, and every track should aspire to do that. But if your goal is to compete, that means that you are interested in playing with high-skill gymnastic movements and high-skill weightlifting movements. The squat snatch, pistols, ring muscle-ups, these are things that you need to be training if your goal is to improve at the sport. However, you can do this track, you can join this track if you have no ambitions of competing in the sport, but when you watch someone do handstand push-ups, you think, man, I want that too. It's goal-based. It's not, yeah, but I don't have that yet. It's, I'm probably just going to do another program for a while. I'm going to do another one of the other two tracks because I'm not there yet. It doesn't work like that. It's not ability-based. It's goal-based. If you watch someone do handstand push-ups and you think, man, I want those, then you start training those. But if we're doing handstand push-ups in a class that day and you're in the compete track and you don't have handstand push-ups yet, your coach is going to give you a modification. They're going to scale that movement down for you so you can develop handstand push-ups. So you'll likely get inverted in some way. Think box pike handstand push-ups, perhaps negatives, like doing the eccentric of a handstand and lowering down to the ab mat. It just depends on what the day would be and what the coach wants from you that day. But if you have no ambitions for that, I'm not going to put you upside down on a wall. It's goal-based. If you just want a good pump for your shoulders, you need a pair of dumbbells. We're going to do some dumbbell push press. So it is so important for everyone to understand that you pick a track based on what your goals are, not what you're currently able to do.
Very cool. The third or the last one that we have would be the train programming track.
Dave is trying not to say train track because that's hilarious.
I love it.
Choo-choo! The train track is for those that already have their thing. They are Trey No plays football at Davidson. All the Anderson County Maverick girls that play high school volleyball. We have people that compete competitively in 5K runs. We have people that are marathon runners. We have people that are triathletes. And then they come here and they train to go do their thing that they're already doing. And it doesn't have to be a sport. It could be a job. If you do manual labor, if you are a lumberjack. I don't know how many lumberjacks are in Clinton. But if you have your thing already and you are looking for your experience here to serve as a strength and conditioning program to get you better at that thing, then we got something for you too. The argument lies in, well, wouldn't the workout, regardless of your movement, still get you better at that stuff? Yes. Wouldn't your workout, regardless of how it was done, still get you a better physique, still get you a good aerobic workout? Yes. Wouldn't your workout still get you better at the open just by showing up 4 to 6 times a week and eating a diet of meat and veg? Yes. But we feel more confident that we can dial it in and fine-tune it more if we have a specific track for you. So the train track athletes, their number one goal, this might sound crazy, their number one goal in the gym is to not get hurt. That's essentially goal number one. We don't want that for the other athletes as well, but competitors generally understand that there's an associated risk with walking on your hands, with doing an air squat where your knee and your ankle has to take all of the shock absorption of your body weight just on those couple of joints. Like there is an assumption of risk, particularly in the shoulder girdle though. It's this erratic movement of opening and closing the shoulder, kipping pull-ups, especially when an athlete wants to learn butterfly and they're kind of practicing on their own. There's an associated or an assumption of risk rather that happens when you train those things. And if it's your goal to get those things, that's sports. That will happen sometimes. But if your goal is to come in here and just get a killer 4 to 5 months so you can leave when the summer is over and go back to your football program knowing that you put in the work over the summer, I don't really need you doing kipping pull-ups. I need you doing strict pull-ups. So if you're in the train program on pull-up day, yours are strict. This is goal-based, not ability-based. If you can't do strict pull-ups, we scale, we modify. We do a ring row or a banded strict pull-up or a dumbbell bent over row. We still scale it, but we have no ambitions of high intensity moving your shoulder around quickly.
Very cool. So I guess after those three, what changes might we expect inside of class for class flow and that type of thing?
So the way that we coach classes here, certainly different at every gym, but the way that we coach classes here is when we get into the specific movements for that day and we're warming them up, we generally do very low intensity versions of that movement that day. On muscle up day, we hold on to rings in the false grip. We do ring rows from the false grip. We do low ring transitions. And depending on the day and depending on the dose that's prescribed that day, and also depending on what the coach wants to do that day, either everyone will still participate regardless of your track because it's at low intensity. It's not a big deal at all for a sweat athlete to do a false grip strict pull-up. That's not a big deal at all. The only issue becomes during intensity. 3, 2, 1, go, music comes up, and you're moving quickly around ranges of motion that you don't yet possess. That becomes an issue. But during class flow, when it's time for us to kick upside down and lower down into a negative, that's a low intensity environment. That's something everyone can do. Once again, we scale, we modify. Maybe you don't go all the way down. Maybe you do a partial wall walk, but we will still do the skills. So class flow doesn't change. It's not compete athletes over there, sweat athletes meet me over here, train athletes, you're going to go back air in the back. And back air, you hear that? You can take the boy out of Claxton, but you can't take the Claxton out of the boy. So funny. So it's still all inclusive, and not only do we feel like that's a pretty good thing, we feel like that's an amazing thing. It's one umbrella for all of us. We're all training at the same time. We're not doing weightlifting class and gymnastics class, and we got a boot camp class. It's one class, one team, one dream. But this also allows us to open up a conversation from coach to athlete of like, hey, what is it that you want to get out of this? Because now let me tailor your workouts to make sure we're meeting those goals.
It's very cool. And this will be something that they have access to through Watify right?
Yeah, baby, let's talk Watify. Yeah. There will be 3 different leaderboards. So there will be a sweat leaderboard, a compete leaderboard, and a train leaderboard. So every day, Watify will have 3 different workouts, and they'll be labeled by the programming track. You enter your score on the track that you're doing. So then if you want to see where you ranked on the leaderboard, awesome. That's not just for the compete athletes. You can see, did you finish 1st, 5th, 13th, 22nd with people that are doing the same workout version as you. Maybe they modified it differently because maybe they have skills you don't, or maybe you have skills that they don't, but you log your score in your track. But I think one of the greatest things, and we will certainly be talking with members about this over and over and over again. We talked about this in our staff meeting last week, of understanding the importance that it does not go compete, train, sweat. And the reason why I'm drawing them that way is everyone always looks at the competitors. Man, look at how well she walks on her hands. Have you seen his muscle ups? And that is cool if you want that. If those aren't your goals, that's not what you aspire to. It doesn't go this. It goes compete, sweat, train. It's left to right, and then you choose based on what your goals are. You also stay in your track. You don't come into the gym one day and say, I normally do this one, but I can do that one RX. So I think today it doesn't work like that, because you need to be very honest with yourself of what your goals are, and then allow your coach to take you to that goal by keeping you in that track and putting in the work that one day for that one session, for that one workout, and making actionable progress.
Yeah, it's been cool. Like behind the scenes, the coaches have got to see a little bit of this kind of take form, and I can tell you that we're all very excited about it coming up. But before we close out, any closing thoughts? Anything else you'd like to share?
I didn't really share so much on the train program, and we'll be talking about this in class. But maybe a little more into it is. Talked about there are no erratic movements of the shoulder. They would still do toes to bar because that's just an opening and closing. But it's when we're rotating around the shoulder, that's what we want to avoid. So that programming track, the train programming track, does not do kipping pull-ups, does not do muscle-ups. They do strict gymnastics almost always, if not some dumbbell variations to build some muscle to go get them better at their sport. Imagine you showing up to your wrestling coach and you got a hurt shoulder and he's like, what's going on? You're like, oh, well, I was in CrossFit doing kipping pull-ups. That's why coaches of other sports, that's why physicians hate CrossFit because you're doing stuff that maybe you don't have any business doing, or maybe you do. It's goal-based. No one can tell you what's right for you. You know what's right for you because you know what it is that you want out of them. Furthermore, with the train athletes, their loadings are considerably heavy. That's why I did it in this way, because the compete athletes will generally have the heaviest loadings. The train athletes would be a little bit lighter and a little less skill. And then the sweat athletes are the lightest loadings and the lightest skill. But it's not top to bottom because it's heavy to light, because it's complex to simple. It's left to right because what do you want out of this? You want to look good naked, or do you want to be able to qualify for semifinals, or do you want to be able to show up to the beginning of summer training camp and your coach is like, man, you put in the work this spring. That's what we need to be doing.